think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, seriously, actually my 10th book was erotic fiction. I wanted to try. So
Oh, that's fair enough.
like
So what qualifies as erotic fiction?
lots of sex.
Yeah,
Hi-
but so did you set out to make it erotic, or did you
Yes.
just become erotic?
Well, the original idea was actually I was talking to Naya about this,
All right.
and it was 50 Shades of Grey we basically talked about, and we both hate that book and that movie.
Well, those
And-
books and those movies. It's
Yeah.
a franchise Daniel respected.
Nah. And I basically was like, well, you know, if I were to do it, then I would do, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then that idea started to stew, and then I was just like, maybe I should write this thing. And then I wrote this thing.
But so give me the layout of the plot, Daniel. Come on.
Okay, the plot is you have two main characters, one named Ella, another named Felix,
Oh my.
who meet each other through, I think they meet each other online, and they basically start a BDSM relationship where she is the dom and he is the sub.
All right.
And the relationship is purely sexual. It's basically just Felix goes to her place like 1 weekend a month. They do dirty stuff and then they leave. They don't really have a romantic relationship.
All right.
And then you follow like their life alongside that. So it's like you basically have 2 points of view that sort of coincide when they meet, kind of a thing. And you learn about like Felix is this guy who works at a power plant. He works as a security guard. He isn't really as comfortable with himself because he used to grow up as like his dad wanted him to be in the military and he went to the military. Things like that. And Ella is this she's a ballet dancer. And she has problems with like her dad was this hippie who left the family and her mom is like dying basically.
All right.
And it's all framed around this event where they meet each other after like 10 years and talk about all the things that they didn't really talk about.
Oh.
See, now it gets interesting.
So when does somebody shove something up somebody's ass?
Fairly quickly.
All right, the good stuff.
Well, actually, there's no butt stuff. That's the one thing that has not happened.
It's my one rule.
No, seriously, because I had to do a lot of research for this book because I don't practice BDSM, so I had to research how you actually do it. And I'm telling you, this was the funniest bit of research I've ever done. I've never had so much fun doing research because people are really open about talking about it. So you can just talk to people about like, hey, how do you do this stuff? And they would be like, here's a 1,000-page essay on how you do like butt stuff.
Mm.
And I basically had to figure out, okay, what is my character's kinks and how would they do it? So the first night they have together, they don't have sex. They basically just are like, okay, let's put down some rules. And Felix's one rule is I don't want things up my butt. Everything else he's kind of okay to at least talk about, but things up his butt, no. And Ella keeps making fun of it. Like at one point she actually puts a butt plug on the table and is like, it's here if you want it. Like she keeps making fun of it. And yeah, like they do increasingly weirder and weirder stuff. And then that's it, basically.
All right. Sounds intriguing. Are these books written in English or Danish?
That one is written in Danish.
All right.
It sort of varies whether or not I write in English or in Danish, but most of my stuff is written in Danish.
Okay. Do you find it more easy to write in Danish?
Actually not. I find English a lot easier to string together sentences. but Danish I find more, I don't know, rewarding in a sense. Because
Yeah,
like I have this theory that English was made to be written and Danish was made to be spoken. So it's all about creating, spoken dialogue kind of thing.
I think it's like because I read a couple of scripts in Romanian.
Mm.
I have friends who study like acting and stuff like that, and I read some scripts written in Romanian over the years, and I find it more satisfying than reading a script in English. But I think it's because it's more like it's like you're deciphering your native tongue,
Yeah.
you know, because like at the end of the day, neither of us are native English speakers,
No.
so it's like when we read something in English, it's like we're doing it automatically in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Like but we're both pretty familiar with English, so we don't really think about how we read it when we read it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas when you read in your native tongue, you think about some sort of implications of what is written in terms of the cultural stuff behind it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that.
You know,
But
like when I read something in Romanian, I think about like, oh, I wonder from what region is this person who wrote this, or like, oh, I wonder if this is supposed to be spoken in a dialect or something like that,
yeah.
like or it's just funnier to read like turns of phrases in your
Yeah.
native tongue, like, oh, that's a funny play on words, but nobody outside of my country is gonna get it.
I mean, I think it's also because we have sort of grown up with the English through a certain lens,
Oh,
like
that's true, yeah.
through movies and through reading and through stuff. So to sit down and actually write like movie dialogue in English or like book dialogue in English is easy because that's all we know, kind of a thing. Like,
Yeah.
whereas I also think it's just Danish is just a really awkward language in a sense.
Yeah, you telling
Uh,
me.
we don't have that many descripting words, so I find it easier to write. I find it very easy to write dialogue in actually, but I find it hard to write all the other stuff in, so all the descriptors and stuff.
No, that's fair enough. Okay.
Whereas in English, it's easy to write descriptors, but writing realistic dialogue I find really hard because I'm only used to writing to consuming like media around it. I don't know.
No, that's yeah, that makes total sense.